Hi, this is Mahrin Mamun again. We are trying to finish the second portion of the lecture on international business ethics for your BAS 301 course, International Business. This is the part where we discuss about the inappropriate doctrines or inappropriate practices that are evident among the international business managers. That means these are regularly practiced, these are regularly done. However, there is no monitoring, or even if there are monitoring, this is done in such a way that this seems like a regular practice in terms of doing business in international standard. So the first doctrine, even if you talk about the doctrines that we will continue with, is the first one would be strawman doctrine. So strawman doctrine or strawman ethics are the approaches, is the way a manager would approach in dealing with business or dealing with working in a multinational enterprise, and this would be regarded as inappropriate. This is not something that would be voted for. Okay, rather this would be voted against. Okay, there are four strawman doctrines. Once we discuss them, you will understand why they are known as inappropriate. All right. The first one is Friedman doctrine. So in Friedman doctrine, managers are said to believe that their way of doing business is appropriate, is right, because they are doing it legally. So if somebody comes to you and say that, look, I'm doing business legally, and that means I have no repercussion in any of the activities that I do, this might go against the society. Why? Because I'm doing a legal business. I have a license to do this business. So if I'm selling a gun and this is a legal business that I'm doing, and if somebody has bought that gun and maybe has shot somebody, I do not have anything to say with it. Why? Because I'm doing legal business. And that is why inappropriateness of business comes in, because we do have a lot in fact of moral obligation towards making sure the types of product we create, produce, and the way we sell those products, or the locality that we set our business in, where our product might cause a great harm because we have not done enough social services that should come with the product. So Friedman doctrine talks about only making profit legally is the owner's only social activities, a social responsibility a business might have. The second doctrine, which is also inappropriate, is known as cultural relativism. Now, cultural relativism talks about that ethics are culturally determined by, and that firms should adopt ethics on cultures in which they are operate. If we give an example, say for example, McDonald's have shifted to India, and they cannot sell the burgers that are known for. Say they shifted their business towards Mekalu Tikki or Maharaja Burger, which is mostly vegetarian. Now, what they have done, they have adopted the Indian culture. Now, do you think McDonald's has become very well off in changing or adapting to Indian culture? No, they have not. They are literally struggling by keeping their own means, because the business, the theme, the business of the brand image of McDonald's is at halt, because when you are selling Maharaja ticket does not go with McDonald's theme. Just by happy price menu is again going against them, because the brand dilution is at concern. So if you think that you go to a business, you go to a country and you adopt their culture, you will be successful. This is causing cultural relativism. You cannot relate to a culture, because this is not just one spectrum of one factor of culture that you can adapt to, because it's culture is a whole. We will know that from our next chapter. You cannot just automatically behave like a Chinese and expect that all the Chinese people will want to do business with you. All right, that is why it is known as cultural relativism, and that is why it is inappropriate, because it will harm the way you would portray yourself, because you are not them, you are from your own country, and how can you switch off? This cannot be a code switching, that right now I'm Bangladeshi and I'm trying to do business in India, so let's become Indian. I'm trying to do business in China, France, and let's shift to them. So that's why they also talk about this doctrine, and they say, when in Rome, do as the Roman. That means you go to Rome, and if you behave like a Roman person would behave, you are successful. Trust me, you won't be. Moving on to our next doctrine, which is also inappropriate, it's called rightus moralis. So now rightus moralis, the definition here says that, by the way, please go through the PowerPoints first, go through the lecture descriptions first, then after you listen to me, you can connect better, and when you connect better, you can understand better, because that we solely have these lectures with us for this semester. So the writer's moralist, it says the approach claims that a multinational's home country standard or ethics should be followed in all foreign countries. Just the when you listen to what I just said, do you think this makes any sense? So if a German manager tells you that let's make Sunday holiday from now on, why? Because you are working under me. Because a country follows their own norms, their own rules. Righteous moralists would say if a manager from a home country, whatever decision that manager gives, all the managers from host country will have to blatantly follow. Now, this obviously is inappropriate, because there are so many different countries, so many different ways the manager works. Even within one country, different branches in different locations, managers might behave differently. The people working for those managers would be different. So you cannot impose one standard, and you cannot expect that that one standard has to be followed by you all. And that is why it is rightfully, it is writer's moralist is inappropriate doctrine to follow by the manager. The fourth one is naive immoralist. You can say that this guy is really sad because for so many reasons, maybe for the semester to be online. So this asserts that if a manager of a multinational sees that firms from other nations are not following ethical norms, then the host nation that the manager should also follow the same notion. For example, if a Malaysian manager tells me that, look, manager from Bangladesh, I'm not paying Eid bonus to my employees. So that's it. And I decide, okay, that's nice. So the manager in Malaysian country is not following ethical standard, and I decide that I will also not pay any of my employees Eid bonus. So if my employees come and tell me, why did you do this? Why did you cut our Eid bonus? And if I say, look, I do not know, I've done it because the manager from Malaysia has done the same. So I'm being naive about me being so unethical, and I'm expecting that all the managers from these nations would be following the same. So this naivety makes you inappropriate. You cannot give the blame to somebody else, and you cannot expect that these sorts of managerial decisions are naive. You cannot be naive. You have to understand why these managers are doing what they're doing, and you cannot justify your inappropriate action by giving the blame to somebody else. So naive immoralist is our fourth strawman doctrine, which is inappropriate. We have two other doctrines which are also inappropriate if you see to it. The first one is utilitarianism. This is a balance between good or bad. I'm sure you have heard of this practice in your hum course while you were in TARC, and maybe in some other sociology courses that you have done. So this is a very common practice which holds that the moral worth of action, meaning I have said something, I have done something, and it can only be portrayed whether I have done it right or wrong depending on the consequences. So if I kill A, and after I have done the killing, then you will judge whether I have done it right or wrong by my consequences. So if A was a bad person, so I have killed him, I have done good. B, A was a good person, I have killed him, I have done bad. So who am I, or who are you to judge my action to be consequential or not? Why would I be killing that person? Why did I not put him to trial? Why did I not give him justice? Why did I not allow A to give me reasons to why should I not kill that person? Or even talk about business. If you talk about business, it's more towards say, for example, if you would find in many of the cosmetics it says no animal testing done. So this is now, imagine the amount of animal testing that has been done on cosmetic products. And when you hear that your product is been tested on animal, and if you think it's okay because that has been done to make sure that my skin stays all right. So for the greater good of the nation, the cosmetic industry had to do that. So if you think that is okay, you are following utilitarianism. Even we have done this sort of inappropriateness so many times in even in with ourselves, with our lives, with our the way we make our decisions. So if we justify our actions based on good or bad, and if we think that the more good that you can do is good and the less bad that you can do is also good, that is utility. So you're trying to balance between good or bad, and again it is inappropriate, because who am I to judge whether somebody has done appropriate or not? So if you see a case study, maybe after this portion we will include a case study where you might have to take a decision as an international business manager, the consequential business manager. That means whether your action has resulted in more good than bad. Moving on, Kantian ethics. So Kantian ethics talks about, do you pay the chicken on the basis of what? Do you pay chicken for? So do you pay the chicken to be so productive, or do you pay the eggs that they are so nice and tasty, vitamin D and all those things? So this is the debate between means or ends. So Kantian ethics talks about, if you are thinking about the productivity of business, then you have to talk about how business is being done, rather what has been done. So literally it says ethics are based on the philosophy of Immanuel Kant, who argued that people should be treated as ends, and never purely as means to the ends of others. So you are not being treated as means. How you are producing a product is not important, rather the fact that you have produced a product is more important. This is sort of inappropriate, because sometimes people give a lot of effort to a lot of activities, and not always all the product is an end product to understand. Sometimes you have to give justified or subjective uh, assessment to a product. Say for example, if I say I'm going to, whoever has had 3.8 CGPA so far, I'm going to take them to lunch, and some of you will be very happy. Some of you might say, well, I had issues for which I cannot study well enough to get, what if I have 3.75, what if I have 3.78? So that would be, I'm not giving proper justification of your end result, rather than I'm regarding your worth of your value only based on end result, and that might be not always nice thing to do, and that's why it's called inappropriate doctrine. And lastly, we have two more interconnected inappropriateness. This is not so solely inappropriate, but still again the people do frown upon if you practice them. So the first one is rights theory. It says no matter wherever you go, in any part of the world you do business in, there are universal rights that you follow. So if my business following those universal rights, I should be safe. This is one notion that they have. And the justice theory says, if you want to do good business, let's just distribute all the wealth equally amongst everybody. Again, how is that possible? How can you think that no matter wherever you go, the business you do, you are all safe? You do not have to follow anything locally as such. Rather, if you are following an international standard of ethics, an international standard of rights, you are safe. That's not the case, because you have to adjust yourselves to the host country's notions. And again, nobody can distribute wealth equally among this stuff. Even you and me, we are different people. Even among the students, even if this is an open course, this is a self-paced course, this is a quiz course, you will not get all the same marks, because we are different. So you cannot say the justice theory that all the wealth should be equally distributed. Then you say, I worked harder, why should I get the same amount that somebody else is getting? I'm sure you will understand when you're doing your group project. So some of the person would be more efficient, and that person has all the activities, and when you see that all the rest of the members got the same marks that you did, you're not very happy, because you do not follow what justice theory had just said. Okay, we are now going to finish now, and we'll do a quick review very soon, and for the next chapter, let's wait for that.